You put me here on this platform to tell the truth. Speak to me when I be speaking to the youth.
Yo, welcome to the Question Mindset podcast, home for building a 6, 7, 8 multi-figure mindset through the power of a question. I'm your host, Oliver J. Darcis. This episode is going to be special, guys, because as you know, this podcast is all perspective based, and we help you have mindset shifts behind the questions we ask. And lately we've been talking about purpose, how to find vision, how to find mission, how to understand your inner self. And I take you guys on this journey of growth with me, and this week was was a big week for me. I learned one of my biggest lessons, and I discovered one of my purpose killers. And I need you guys to understand, a purpose killer is something that knocks you off your flow, knocks you off of your focus, knocks you off of that desire that you have to in reaching that next level and reaching, that next step of growth. And I saw what affected me so much this weekend. Purpose killers, it shuffles different from person to person. Some people it can be one thing, some people it can be the other, right? And ultimately, you have to understand what is your purpose killer, okay? So now that we understand this, purpose killer really comes in, three main categories that I've seen so far. And, as I go on this journey of growth, I'm going to share with you guys more purpose killers to open up your eyes, to open up your perspective to what's out there that's actually affecting you, hindering you from reaching that next level. And it always falls in one of three categories: something to do with your emotions, something to do with your environment, and something to do within yourself as far as, your current mental state or your current drive or the current drive that you have, right? And within your emotions. Now, like I said, it shovels with everybody. Some people struggle with certain emotions more than others. And for me, really what I learned this week was, for me, it was sadness, right? Something dire happened to me. I lost a friend, I lost a brother. And I experienced immense sadness in that given moment, right? And your sadness can be caused by many things. You could lose a brother, you can experience trauma, you remember your trauma, you remember how you felt in this given time, and you never dealt with it. But for me, I dealt with it in that moment. I grounded myself in prayer. I grounded myself in worship. I grounded myself in praising God. But, ultimately, I was still in that sadness throughout certain times of the day. And it's ultimately because how I lost that relationship, I thought it was over. I thought I couldn't do what I need to do in terms of business. I thought I couldn't do what I need to do in terms of my own life. But then when I realized the reason why I felt sad is because I thought that there was a lack of options, right? Sadness sometimes can be caused by you thinking there's no options and you think it's over. But once you actually go out there and seek knowledge for yourself, once you realize there's other alternatives, once you realize that it's really not over, then, you find that burden of sadness completely getting up and uplifting off of you. And for some people, being honest, it could be anger. And within anger, you can lose relationships left and right. Anger sometimes comes from a trigger of somebody saying things to you. And similar things with sadness. Emotions sometimes come with the same triggers, but it kind of affects us different ways. Some people, they get sad. Some people, they get angry. And you have to know that, within that, you kind of make unwise decisions. You kind of learn to react instead of respond. And you got to switch that. Handling anger, you have to realize that it's not worth it. It's not worth your peace. It's not worth your sanity. It's not worth, yes, somebody might have called you something. Yes, you might have lost something. Yes, you might have broke something. Yes, something died. You feel something dire might have happened to you, and now you're angry. Now you're furious. You want revenge. You want payback. You want whatever the case may be for that current situation. But ultimately, that's not going to get you anywhere. You have to look at it like this. If you do something, and ultimately you want to grow every day, right? If you get triggered and you're angry now, and you act out and you react on that anger instead of responding, you have to look at it. Did this make your situation better? One. Did this put you one step forward in terms of your growth? If yes, you could probably learn lessons within, that spree or that time where you're angry, yeah, you can learn lessons and you can deem that, yeah, whatever. But did that put you one step further towards your growth? Sometimes if you're angry, you can learn a lesson, but you're like 10 steps back. You took 10 steps behind you. And you also have to look at it like, yo, did I burn any bridges because of it? Now that you lost that connection, now that you lost that relationship, how much more is that hindering you? Because sometimes, like, you need people to take you to that next level. You know, my spiritual father says it takes a king to make a king. And if you act out on anger and you lose that, imagine how much, or imagine how slow, or if you lose that person, imagine how much that can delay you in terms of reaching that next step. You have to be mindful of all these things. And sometimes, if I'm being honest with you guys, even happiness, even happiness can sometimes be a purpose killer if you're too happy. The reason why happiness can be a purpose killer is because, you know, you have too much peace. Not saying that's a bad thing. Too much peace can never be a bad thing. But sometimes you're so content that you make unwise decisions. You lack you lack discernment in some cases. You are so happy where you lack self-awareness. You're not focused as to what the goal is. You're just too happy, you're too joyful, you're too jolly. You don't have that discipline, you don't have that focus. You can sometimes make unwise decisions. Like for myself, it was this day I was feeling so good. And those of you that know me knows that I am a guy that always wants to carry happiness within my heart, due to the fact that I almost died, and due to the fact that I used to carry myself with so much anger, so much animosity towards the world. And I shook myself out of that. Now I carry all like immense amounts of happiness and joy, and it's infectious to the people around me. Yeah, but sometimes, well, that day I was so happy to the point where I realized that I wasn't looking at my surroundings. I wasn't looking at my environment, and things was happening, and that I wasn't aware, or that I couldn't reduce the fact of it affecting me. Like for example, I was so happy that day. You know, I was on my way to church. It's to the point where I was doing things you wouldn't normally see me do. So, and in that, along with not being self-aware because you have that much peace, had that much happiness, I left my bag at a gas station because I was so happy. I didn't care what happened. I didn't care anything because I was so happy that day. And I lost my bag. Some fraud happened to me. I lost my $300 DJI wireless mic. I lost a lot of things. A lot of things that meant a lot to me, and I lost a lot of things that had monetary value. And you have to realize that sometimes in the midst of all these emotions, you have to do your best to keep focused. You have to do your best to be self-aware, to focus on the things around you so you don't let it hinder that next step of growth. And because of that, you know, I got delayed slightly. You know, I had to spend more money, and I couldn't spend certain things, or I couldn't allocate certain funds towards investments because I had to make that back into those investments that I lost. And the next category as far as emotions, like once you understand what emotions are affecting you and are your purpose killer, you have to look at your environment, and that's the second category. Your environments can be, you know, one of many things. Sometimes it could be the people. And when it comes to people, sometimes they can say things to you that can cause you to doubt yourself, that can cause you to rethink your plans, that can cause you to lose focus. Ultimately, your purpose killers ultimately lead you to one thing. It leads you to losing your focus, losing your discipline, losing your desire, losing your fire, because what they say to you might kill the fire that you have. Some people, it can fuel them up. That's good. You have that focus, you have that discipline, you know your inner self to know, you know, what people say does not affect you. Sometimes it can be the subconscious habits they share with you. Studies show that, you know, the people you surround yourself is, you know, what you will become, right? But also the people that you surround yourself with, the habits that they have, sometimes the habits rub off, you know, to you. If 9 out of the 10 people you're with is lazy, you're going to have that. Your desire, your fire is going to be reduced because of that circle of people that doesn't have good habits, or that has that habit of laziness. And also, people around you, the morals they share can affect you in a way where they kill your purpose. If you lack good morals and you enter a room with certain individuals that have good morals, like there's good morals and there's bad morals, you can see yourself not establishing connection with that person to get you to that next level because you lack morals, because you speak to a certain class of people a certain way, because your environment had that habit of doing that. Whatever that negative or that bad moral is, you have to be mindful of these things, and to combat that, you have to do your own research, remove yourself out of that group, or spend time alone and actually question the things you do and why you do it and where you got it from. And also, within your environment, you have to be mindful of your setting, because sometimes your setting can put a bar above your head. If you're in a setting where it's in the slums, I know some people can't really control their setting, so this can be tough for some people, but you have to do your best to work on that. Like, if your setting is in the slums, right, and you grew up, you were raised, you didn't see anything other than that, you're not going to you won't be able to have that ability to imagine yourself in that success. Yeah, you can see other people successful, other people like you, or that share certain qualities with you successful, and you be like, yeah, dang, one day. But if you're constantly seeing that, it's like, dang, one day, but I'm here. I'm constantly here. It's not going to get better. I'm always going to be here. Some people, that can drive them and shoot them up. And that could be their driving factor, but for some people, that can be one of their limiting beliefs, because it's like, I never had more than this. Do I really deserve it, right? But to do that, to combat that, you have to do your best. Sometimes go into a different neighborhood, go into a different environment, go into a different club, surround yourself with different people that are in different settings, spend time with other people. And sometimes it's going to take you a while to find all these things, but you have to have that discipline, you have to have that desire for that next level, to go out and find that and kind of open up your bubble so your setting won't have that effect on you. So, and ultimately, you just need to watch all these things within your environment. Even in your environment, it could be music, it could be the things you listen to, all these things. You have to watch what you watch. You have to watch what you listen to. Be mindful of who you surround yourself with. And you have to see, if you want to reach that next level, look for the person that is in that next level. What do they watch? What do they listen to? What do they surround themselves with? What is in their environment, or what environment are they in? What environment are they putting themselves in? What environment are they pushing themselves to go to? You have to look at these things. And one of the last things is, I know we talked about emotions, and that's that next thing that I'm saying. It falls in the same mental category. So in all actuality, I want to just name this like an honorable mention as far as a category, and it is procrastination. It's procrastination, right? Procrastination comes with laziness. Procrastination comes with lack of focus. Sometimes it can come from, it can trickle down from all these other things that I mentioned. For some people, it can be a little bit different, right? But the answer to combat procrastination, that's why I have it as an honorable mention. And I preach about this all the time. I even said this 2 episodes ago. You need to be deeply connected to your why. Your why is the biggest thing that's going to motivate you. Your why is going to be the biggest thing that's going to drive you. There's times where you're sad. Yes, there's times where you're angry. Yes, those times where you're too happy and you're distracted. Yes, there's times where, your environment causes all these things to knock you off of your purpose, knock you off of the will or of the focus that God put in you to reach that next level. It's procrastination. That's one of the reasons why I put that as an honorable mention, because within procrastination, it can of course it can trickle down from all these little things up there that we just mentioned. Like, your anger can cause this, your sadness can cause this, your happiness can cause lack of focus, that can cause this. But procrastination, that's why I have it as an honorable mention. To combat that, you need to be deeply connected to your why. You need to be deeply connected to your why, because if you have your why, there are going to be times where you're sad. There are going to be times where you're angry. There are going to be times where you're happy and you're not focused, you're not self-aware. And there are going to be times where the people around you that's going to say things that's going to cause you to doubt, to have self-doubt, to lack self-drive, and all these things that you can possibly name. But if you have your why, when you see yourself falling into it, you can remember that thing that drives you. You can remember that why that pushes you every day, for you to get up out of that spirit of laziness, for you to get up out of that, what's the word, out of that power of laziness that is coming over you. Once you remember that why, you see yourself be refilled with that fire to keep pushing, to keep going towards your purpose. And ultimately, we all have a purpose here in life. We all have a purpose that we're called to minister to. We all have that. And if these things are hindering you, you need to spend time with yourself and realize, what is it for me? Is it anger? Is it sadness? Is it pride? There's many things that can be a purpose killer. You need to, I always preach people, you need to spend time alone to, assess your mind, assess your thoughts, to figure out what is stopping you from your purpose. Hey, I'm your host, Olivia J. Darcy's, helping you to do life well. What are you going to do with that? Peace.